everyone, welcome back to Face It with Dr. G. I'm Dr. G, and I am back finally after a little hiatus. For all of you guys that are interested, we are starting our Patreon, and it may be Face It, it may be GFaceMD Patreon. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do with it, but it's so exciting. And for all of you that enjoy this content, I'd love for you to go and check it out. It's going to launch on March 1st. But for today, I'm going to get into consultations, and I wanted to give you my top 3 to 5, I don't know the number. We're going to just start talking about my tips for an amazing consultation, and then maybe another episode can be what not to do in a consultation, right? So I would say the consultation is the hardest thing to learn. It's the hardest thing to learn because not only do you have to feel confident in your injecting skills, but you have to feel confident in your knowledge base of anatomy, of injectables, of skin health and skincare. And that's a lot to learn. This takes time, it takes effort, it takes practice, and you'll learn by doing. And I say empower yourself and fortify yourself with knowledge and resources to learn, hence the Patreon. But I will say consultation is the most important part of the visit for your patient. It happens with every initial visit, and within the first, I would say 5 seconds to 15 seconds, your patient will either feel comfortable or not feel comfortable. It happens that quickly. It is paramount that you enter that room and nothing else matters. I say my room is my happy place, and the patients know that. Everything, all my worries, all my stresses go away in that room because that's where I love to connect with my patient. And the first thing, this is my tip number 1, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, hey, how are you? How'd you hear about us? Because I want to know how they heard about us. It gives me so much information about who they are as a person. Did they hear about us from a friend? That means they really trust their friends. Did they hear about us on Google? That means they really utilize Google, and maybe our ad spend is happening and making it worth it. Maybe they found us on Instagram, which the majority of my patients and how I built GFaceMD was based on Instagram. And that's also really powerful. And the way that they found you in your office will tell you maybe their baseline of knowledge as well. If they found us on Instagram, they may have scrolled a lot and learned a lot about who we are and what we do. But I love those stories. I think they're really powerful. I'm trying to think of other ways people meet us. It's Instagram, not as much on Facebook, friends, family, and Google, and the podcasts. But those are the main ones. So, and that also, what it will do is help me identify where I should spend more money. If I'm doing paid advertising, it can help that way. So there's that. And after I ask how they found us, I want to get into their story. At the same time, this is my biggest tip number 2, is watch your patient. Watching and listening, because that will give you more information than you need to give them the appropriate recommendations. So watch them and let them tell you the story. And my phrase, which you can reuse if you want, is, so we have 45 minutes, which by the way is the longest amount of time I ever spend with a patient, is their initial consultation. We have 45 minutes to discuss any and everything you would like to discuss, from skin health to skin care to injectables. And I say that over and over and over again for every consultation. That allows the patient to exhale a little bit. There is no requirement to have a treatment done. If time permits, we will do a treatment, but allows the patient to exhale and relax, because this consultation is for educational, informative purposes. And you'll realize that your patients come in for all different reasons. Some definitely know what they want and they definitely want to be injected, regardless of what my opinion is. And some just want to hear all of the recommendations that you have for them. And here's my point number 3, is I get out my folder and I tell them everything about themselves, maybe that they want to know and they don't want to know, and I write it down. So we give them a list of pricing for the treatments that we recommend, and we also give them a list of skincare products that we recommend for them. We obviously have Sawyer Skin products here because that is my company. We have Nutrafol as well and some other brands, but that is our main skincare company, is Sawyer Skin. And we also give them a little goodie bag that we make for them with samples to help when they leave the office. Patients will give you their story and you sit and you listen. And we know that physicians will interrupt their patients within usually 5 to 10 seconds of them talking. And so it's in your power to listen and not say a word. I've gotten really good at that. I don't know if you can imagine that or not, but I've gotten really good at that. And while they're talking, again, analyzing their face, their movement, their muscles, their structure, their dynamic lines, their lines at rest, and everything else about them, how they look at themselves in the mirror, how they make eye contact or don't make eye contact with me, and what their face and posture is when they're having a conversation. So that gets into just the beginning part of the consultation, and the rest of the consultation is then a combination of discussing possible treatments, showing patients about their own anatomy, any asymmetries that they may not be aware of, and focusing on maybe their favorite feature to amplify their favorite feature or diminish their least favorite feature. And then we come to a point, and this is point number 4, where it is your job as a provider to provide your medical expertise and then allow the patient to decide what they want to do when. And I know this is hard to understand, but there are a lot of things that go into a patient's decision when it comes to non-surgical injectable procedures that are elective. And that one of the biggest things is cost. So what we do here is I lay out all of the treatments that would be amazing, and I lay out a timeline and a process of what I would do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and I usually stop at around 6 months. I find that after 6 months, it's a little bit overwhelming. A year is too long to have a full year-long treatment plan, maybe for something like Botox or Dysport, but anything else, your face changes a lot within 6 months to a year. So we do a 6-month plan, sometimes 3 months, but maximum 6 months, and then we reassess and reevaluate and tweak what we want to do moving forward. So we write all of that out, we price it out for the patient, and then we let the patient decide, what can they afford now, what do they want to invest in, and how do we want to time things based on their personal life, based on any events that they have, and so on and so forth. So that's how we have it. And then tip number 5, so this is the top 5 tips, is we check our patients out before they're treated, and this has changed our practice. If you've heard of the halo phenomenon, patients and people in general remember the beginning and the end, right? We remember the beginning of an experience and the excitement, and we remember the memory of it afterwards. We don't really like to remember the middle, which in this case would be being injected and having needles in our face. We don't love that part of it. So we check them out before we inject, then they're leaving on this beautiful high note. They feel beautiful. If they're bruised or swollen, that's okay. That's to be expected because of course you told them that. And they leave feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and not that they're handing over their wallet to you. So that end note is positive. So I hope this was helpful. My top 5 tips. I have a lot of other tips, and you can go over to my Patreon on March 1st to subscribe to the channels, and you'll get so much more information when it comes to in-depth consultations and treatments. I'm so glad that you guys are here listening. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll see you again next time.